signature. At Park Throttle, they are similar in rear aspect IR signature, but the F-22 is less IR stealthy in full app.
Thank you, Antoine.
The F-35 is also stealthier in long-range target search.
Welcome back to another episode of Elevator Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. I go by the name of the Uncle Junior, and with me today are the Wolfpack members, Eric Johnson, Cavi Wallace, Antoine Christopher, across the table with Chris, rolling down the street, Dr. Thomas Rashad, and Victor Viziant, aka Accountable Masculinity, aka The Code, aka Roll Tide. Welcome everybody to the show. And thank you to everyone who have decided to take time out of your life to be with us today. I appreciate you. Welcome to the most elevated chat on YouTube. That is where the real dialogue is happening. So feel free to be a part of the conversation or ask a question. I want to give a special thanks to all of our servicemen and women out there who are doing what they're doing to keep us safe. We salute you and thank you for your service. If you are tuned in today, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. While you're at it, go ahead and hit that bell so you will be notified when new content drops. How is everybody on the panel doing today?
Amazing.
Cool.
And I love it, man. We got a packed house tonight. Starting off with 8, man. I love it. Y'all ready to get into it, or you guys want to chit chat for a little bit?
Man, we can have an icebreaker, man. We got some people that ain't never talked to each other before.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, so here's the deal. Eric Johnson, this is the first time on the show. I'm gonna give him an opportunity to introduce himself, and then I also want to give Cavi Wallace an opportunity to introduce himself too. He popped on last week for the first time, but the time he popped in, I didn't give him an opportunity to tell us who he was. So Eric, go first, and then after that, let's go Cavi.
Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Eric Johnson. I'm originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I am the owner of In the Smoker Financial Coaching. So I'm a Dave Ramsey certified financial coach, and I'm also a John Maxwell certified team member. I'm a graduate of the United States Naval Academy. Graduated 2015. So, did all that, served in the Marine Corps, U.S. Marine Corps veteran. I was a combat engineer officer, and now I full-time work as a financial coach, really trying to, teaching people about personal finance and trying to address the issue that we have where people are making mistakes that are costing them years of their lives and not really able to approach or, the goals they have. So I also have a podcast. I have a book called The Inner Smoker Mindset that's on Amazon. And really, I just love getting in these situations, talking with everyone. So, great to meet everyone. I hope to have a great conversation and learn something from all you gentlemen, because I think I'm probably the youngest one on here.
All right, my name is Cavi Wallace, and just a cool. What's wrong? Roland, what's up?
Audio choppy.
My audio choppy again? What in the world is going on?
It's
with my
Android.
Audio?
It's probably Android.
It's not Android. It's an actual mic.
You got that mic off
It
Wish.
sounds-
It's staticky when you talk.
You got it off Wish,
Staticky
man.
when I
You
talk.
can't-
It's
No.
Mike. Mike with the K. Mike with the C.
All right, hold on. How about now, fellas?
I can hear you.
Is all right now?
Yeah, but you look a little delayed though.
Okay, you said I'm a little delayed. Okay, all right. Hold on. Let me see. Hello.
I think if you speak slowly and just stay consistent on it, it'll be fine.
All right. Yeah. So, like I said, my name is Cavi Wallace. So, originally, Cavic Wallace is my real name, and I'm all I do in my life, man, is I'm just a father of two. Take care of me, mine, my wife, household, all that good stuff. And I just like to talk to brothers, and kind of build and really listen to what people have to say, and then respond not in an argumentative way all the time, but sometimes just respond respectfully. Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? So that's just who I am in a nutshell.
Hey, I love it. Hey, I appreciate those words. I will drop the links to both of their YouTube channels. But they'll be at the description. Guys know what I'm talking about. I know if you tuned into this episode of Elevated Dialogue, you have seen the title of the show. If you are a man and you have lived for some years, there may have come a point in your past where a woman you were with no longer wanted to be with you. What did you do? Were children involved? Were you married or single? These questions can dictate what you do when your woman tells you she no longer wants to be with you. Sometimes men are happy to hear those words, but this is not that conversation. In this conversation, we want to talk about the men who did not want the relationship to end, but had no choice in the matter. Going through these breakups with women can be troubling time for men. You have seen stories where men have destroyed things in the home, taken lives of women, and even taken their own lives. These are just some of the tragic things that happen when a man gets news that his woman no longer wants to be with him. I'm not saying that all men experience this level of pain. However, for a man that does not want his relationship to end, this can be a hard time. The person you love may also be the person who is destroying the family. For this episode, we're not going to focus on why she wanted to leave, but what is a man to do unless we need context for purposes. If we need it for context purposes. So like I said, I don't want to focus too much on why she left. I do want to talk more about what to do afterwards. So I just want to start off the conversation with have any of you guys ever been in a relationship with someone and you wanted it to work, but she wanted it to end? Or was that just me?
I think all of us have.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think in general, men experience rejection at a higher rate from the get go from being boys. Like you have to be told no. You don't know why you being told no so often when you're growing up as a young boy. Because yes becomes kryptonite to men early on. Generally speaking, across the board, humans become very entitled if they've given everything. If they've been given everything, hadn't earned every single thing. If they haven't had the risk of losing something before, it's hard for people to get out of a yes mindset, become yes men, and be subject to being, like abused. So when you put your work into something or what you think is equity into other people, yeah, you're gonna fight for that investment of your time and energy. You know what I'm saying? So knowing how to strategically recognize when you probably exceeded your resources and outside of money and anything else, that becomes the deep conversation you have with yourself about what are you actually fighting for at some point. And then when you start weighing the who, what, the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why, about what you're doing, it starts to become, like a deposition. You know what I'm saying? You putting the pros and cons on either side, and men have to hurry up and find metrics before they make an emotional decision. You know what I'm saying? Because that whole search that you're trying to figure out the next piece to making a decision comes off of your emotions. You know what I'm saying? And when that doesn't make sense, you start writing it down. It's probably already done. And hopefully, if you write it down, you make the decision that's the healthy one.
Okay. So the question was, you guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
All right. So the question was, what do you do when a woman no longer wants you? Is that correct?
Well, not right now. I mean, yes and no, but right now I wanted to just see if anybody had been in a relationship where the woman no
Absolutely.
longer wanted
Okay.
them, and then
Right.
took maybe a couple minutes to kind of share with us, not in too much detail, but in generalities, maybe some of the thoughts you
Okay.
went through or
Okay.
something like
I
that.
was with a woman for about, I would say, 10 years, and this woman ended up not wanting to be with me anymore after that last year, and it ended really ugly, not any violent way or anything like that. Um, but honestly, it's something that, yeah, men have to go through, and when we do go through those things, it honestly breaks you down physically and mentally. And I don't know how much it broke you guys down physically, but it was the point where I couldn't eat, brothers. Like I went from like 315 to like 265, like overnight, because I could not eat after
Sheesh.
the emotional trauma of that, loving someone for that long, being with someone for that long, those experiences, that time, and then out of nowhere, just like that, she pretty much flipped and we ended everything. So yeah, I've been through that, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a good time. It's probably the the best question to go next, and what were some of the things that you struggled with during the breakup? And we can go to somebody else whoever, since everybody has been through it. Somebody can kind of share, some of the things that they struggle with during the breakup. Cavi already talked about, him losing a whole bunch of weight because of all the different things that he was going through. I do want to give Eric, if you get, because you're one of the guests on here today, it's your first time, so if you have ever been heartbroken, I mean, I ain't gonna give him no light skin jokes today, but you probably had never been heartbroken. So, but just in case, if you have, what were some of the things that you struggle with?
I say, hey, we have all that tonight.
Stop being cat masculine.
Hey,
boy.
but I'd
That's my
say
guy.
I haven't had it to the extent that maybe you gentlemen, just because younger, I ain't dated a whole lot, but I'd say that a situation where I was dealing with someone and they ended up losing interest, it was definitely I took a confidence hit, for one, but also it forced me to look internally and realize that the reason she wanted to leave was because I actually wasn't doing the things she had been asking me to do the whole time, but I was too stubborn to see it and wasn't really progressed enough as a man to recognize that I wasn't able to provide those things at the time. So it was that was a huge self-work journey, and it was one necessary. It was also after getting out of the military, a whole lot of other things going on. So it was a lot of things compounding, trying to figure out who I was as a man, not in a uniform, because it's very different. Captain Johnson is very different than Eric Johnson, I've learned. So it was just a lot at once, because I had to figure out, well, what do I like to do? Who's really good for me? Like how do I have deeper more meaningful conversations with people to learn about them and like let them learn about me, and what are the signs I look for to feel comfortable being able to open up to someone, especially a female, because that's something that's very, very difficult. Like, how do I open up to them? Because that's part of the problem. And like, what are the signs? Like, how do you know how fast to go? It's kind of like all learning, but that was a lot of the things that I dealt with.
I haven't been in that situation. I don't think I have. I've been in a situation where there was a breakup, but never a situation where it was like, because if somebody didn't want to be bothered, I understood why, because I was doggish back in the day. So I understood, hey, if you want to move on, I get you. But I think with my first wife, when that breakup happened, I looked more at it as my children are affected by this. So I wanted to hold on because of that. It wasn't her, because me and her, we wasn't getting along. So it was either going to end up, I don't like to fight women. So, it's like, okay, you from Detroit, I'm from Detroit. Something got to give or somebody going to die. And it was one of those situations where I tried and I kept trying because it's like, okay, I see my babies, and then I'm thinking, okay, what other man gonna be around my babies and things like that. But when it came to the other person, I was like, nah, I'm good, because I'm better off, because we weren't equally yoked anymore. And I was, when a man has moved on, he's moved on. They say that about women, but it's men too. When you moved on, it's like, okay, I pay the bills, but what?
Can't nobody fake a relationship like we can when we done. You know what I'm saying? Because we're gonna make the cost-effective decision on the exit strategy.
So I would say for me, without giving too much detail, I went through it, and it was mine was rough. Mine was doing my first marriage, and I I came home from work, and my wife was gone. So it's like, and my kids was gone. So like I had to deal with that, and I had to go back to work the next day. So for me, I held a whole bunch of stuff in. Like for about 3 months, people didn't even know that anything was going on. They had probably had about two guys that kind of knew a little bit of something about going on, but just being real, man, like I was suicidal and everything. Like we had been together since like right out of high school. We had dated earlier during high school, and it was like at that time where I was at mentally, like I thought that was like my whole world. Like I had wife, I had two kids, and um it was rough. Like I'd have been in the military. Like I said, you come home and your wife gone, bro. That's rough, man. Like any dude. But at the same time, I will say that one of the things that helped me get over it was like kind of like Roland said. Like I knew that I probably, I wasn't probably doing the best that I should have been. I wasn't being the best husband. You know what I mean? And what helped me get over all of that stuff was the fact I had to take accountability for what I did in the relationship, what I did wrong. And once I was able to do that, like getting over everything became a whole lot easier. But that still didn't stop me from having to go through that period because I didn't know that information at the time. You know, I was just, you know, walking around being hurt and thought that my world was over. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm, you know, remarried and got a great life and all of that stuff. But if you would have told me that, you know, when that happened, man, I would have been like, man, you a whole clown. I wouldn't have believed you, you know. So that was my experience. I don't think that anything like that could ever happen to me again to this day. But that was my experience then. Yeah, man. What you got, Antoine?
You know, I
shit.
let's see now. I never been with a girl that I didn't want her to leave and she left. I was happy when they left. But breakups, I think the best way that I could explain it for me, like we're talking about not girls we smashing and they leave, right? We're talking about in a relationship, right? Like solid relationship. Okay.
I mean, if you get hurt after you smashing and dashing, then
well, I'm not.
you got
Some
bigger
people,
issues.
right, some people. I'm just saying I'm not one of those. That's why I was making sure it's relationship we talk about, right?
Hey, hold up! I was saying, man, that might be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying,
Hey,
right?
maybe.
Because some people get in there quick. But anyways, yeah, I was in, you know, solid relationship, and I think I threw myself into my work. I think that I started analyzing it, where I went wrong, what I did wrong, because you guys already know that I focused more on one instead of the other. But I think what saved me was throwing myself into fitness and my work. And I accepted the mistakes that I made. I wasn't arguing with myself saying, why did I do this? Why did I? No, I did it. Right? I owned it. I figured out why I did what I did, why I acted the way I acted. And then I didn't put it all on me. I saw her mistakes. You know, I read a good book about listing what she did wrong and what you did wrong and seeing which list is longer. I did all that. So I really analyzed where I went wrong. And when I was able to accept that's where I went wrong, I saw clearly that she wasn't the one for me, right? Great in bed, though. God damn. I mean, sorry, but yeah, she was, whew. But yeah, just that, whew. Now, I think I missed that more than anything. I was like, God damn. You know? Like somebody else, my ego kicked in. He said, somebody else gonna get that. You know? My ego kicked in, and I was like, God damn.
That's what I'm talking about somebody else. How you think you got that good?
But I mean, you know, like, we just meshed. It was so good, you know? When it was good, it was good. But when it was bad, it was bad. When it was in the bed, yeah.
Oh, man. Anybody else that hadn't chimed in on this want to jump in? Go ahead, Dr. Easy.
Yeah, I've had I had a situation like that, and the one I can know that one of the things that I did was that I was so head over heels for this person. This was someone that I kind of grew up with, but I noticed that my head over heels was because my head was under about myself, and so one of the reasons, you know, why she got tired and left was because it was like I was so available. Another thing was I had low confidence in myself, so it's like I thought this person was too fine to be with me, you know, and so you know, so I had to mature and grow in my own, you know, confidence. And I appreciate what Antoine just said, because I did the same thing. Like I was like, how do I get out of this funk? Because I started getting, you know, down, and you know, learning to swim, you know, getting in and working out, you know, really helped me out, which made me pour back into me. But that was, I think that was, now I think I know, because it's interestingly, me and this person are actually cool now, you know, and we did, you know, to converse about it, and you know, like years later. And that's what it was. It was like it's like I was too much. I was too available, but really it was because I was low in self-confidence. And so, you know, it's like, it was almost like you're doing me a favor being with me. Fortunately, I can say I can say I'm gonna use the ego word in 20. The tables turn, and they wish it was another way. So I can admit that now. But but I can say that at that moment, when that was going on, I was like, wow. And I think that's why I've switched and focused more. I still focus on how someone feels about me, but I focus more on how I feel about them, and what's going on inside of me. But that relationship, taught me a lesson. That was I've only had that happen in my life twice, and I'll be honest with you, both times it was that. It was like I was so engulfed in them. So one thing is almost kind of like one could say maybe suffocating, a person when I should have been loving myself more.
Hey, welcome to the show, Coach. How's everything, man?
Wonderful, wonderful. How you gentlemen doing?
Doing good, man. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to get settled in. Chris about to jump on this question over here, but we're just where we at right now. We're just talking about what are some of the things that we may have struggled with during a breakup.
I guess I can go along with the fellas. I struggle with my self-confidence because my ego was bruised and I didn't know how to handle it. I've only been in a handful of like real relationships. I realized that, to Doc's point, I was too available, and I didn't know that it was okay for me to have boundaries. Meaning, I didn't know that it was okay to not get talked to any kind of way and have to tolerate it just because she's a woman and just because she's a black woman and my mama's black. You understand what I'm saying? And once I started to get like that, and once I started to defend myself, and I said, "Hey, you need to quit talking to me like you crazy. Uh, you need a level 2 when dealing with me. You ain't my mama." That's when I became toxic. And then after that, that's when I decided, okay, this is the absolute last time that this ever happens to me. The moment I even see it, I'm gone. I'm going to talk to you about it once. And if I have to deal with it after that, you just let me know you don't care. I'm leaving. I'm going to holla at you. Peace out.
I heard it, man. What you got, Coach?
Hey, so first I'm late to the party. I apologize. I was checking my list and checking it twice. When it comes down to and I don't want to be redundant. I heard what the doc said, and I'm definitely on board with that. I agree. I struggle with ego. I struggled with self confidence. I struggled with understanding. I struggled with, just getting back in the game, man. After going through a breakup, it was kind of like, I'm kind of skittish about doing this again, especially if it, like Chris stated, especially somebody I really cared about. It was, you kind of had that fear of getting back into it again. So you struggle with fear, and then of course back during the time frame. I'm assuming that all of us on this panel like right around the same age, and some of y'all, kind of. Some of y'all exist in the same space that I do, and some of y'all don't. Because I'm Eric, pleasure to meet you, brother, but you're a light skinned dude, so you don't understand that, right? Antoine, you the same thing. You don't understand it.
I knew it was coming. I knew somebody was going to say it.
I'm keeping it real. Rolling YouTube, bro. I'm sorry. Listen, back then,
and
Antoine too. Yeah, colorism was a thing. Is a thing. I'm not going to say was. It still is. I just don't suffer from it these days because I don't even hear it anymore. But back then, it was nothing for a dark-skinned brother to get called names. So those things kind of linger in the back of your head, especially after going through a breakup, because it's a struggle when you're trying to come into yourself and then somebody kind of pins a name on you. And then you're trying to figure out, like, so do they see me that way, or is it just joking? Because at first it's a joke and it sounds good, but when it becomes repetitive and constant, and just the consistency of hearing these different names, like, man, do people kind of view me through the lens of that name that they're giving me at this particular point in time? So all of these things come to bear at the breakup. Why? Because that's one of the lowest emotional points that you experience as a young man.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree with everybody, and I appreciate all the thoughts and comments that everybody's had. Um, everybody who's here, since we've all been through it, we've all got over it. But it may have been easier for some than others. But what are some of the things that help you during the breakup? I know just one for me, I had like a couple of dudes that I had around me. They constantly checked on me and stuff like that. And then, I started just getting a better understanding about life and just other things. And I was able to move on. But what were some of the things that just helped you guys during the breakup?
Patrice O'Neal.
Next.
Patrice O'Neal. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Who said next?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I listened to the Black Phillip show, and a lot of the things that he said, I mean, it described me to a T. So it was like maybe some of the stuff that he says makes sense. He's a little crass, and he says a lot of things out of pocket, but if you spit out the bones, what he said made sense. And so I started to apply some of that stuff into my life, not being a misogynistic butthole, but having a standard and saying, this is my standard. And if you can't deal with that, then it would be best if we don't talk. Being righteous and being honest, and hitting the gym. The gym is my sanctuary. The gym is my sanctuary. That's where I clear all of my thoughts. That's where I get all of that aggression out, because the weights are the weights. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to argue with you. They're not going to push back. The only thing that you need to do is get this weight off of your chest. So do it as many times as you can to get that frustration out, because I would rather get that frustration out doing something that's going to better my physical and my mental than just being out here on my emotional. So that's
I
me.
got a question. I need a little context. We're talking about the younger version of us, or the more mature version of us? Who are we talking to?
When it happened.
Like during that time.
Okay,
like during that time.
Out of the 9 men on this panel, I'm assuming that every man only broke up once. That's what I'm asking. So when are we talking?
Look, I like the question, Coach, because like you do different things with different situations at different phases in your life based on your understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have a lot of emotional intelligence about yourself, you're gonna go do something that's emotionally reckless. You know what I'm saying? Now every man has a breaking point. Generally speaking, every human has a breaking point. Okay, but those breaking points have different variables from person to person, and even more so from a certain type of man. A man that's more apt to spend his time with modern women is going to have a different perspective on women than men that are looking for traditional relationships and have certain criteria that needs to be met. And when you meet those different conflicts and those different cycles, you start to take on traits of people that have put negative things into your life. You spend a lot of time rehearsing it. You don't know you're rehearsing it, but that's what it is from relationship to relationship. And I think that the healthier the people you have in your life over a span of time, they give you more patience. You know what I'm saying? For you to sit down and say, hey, look, if I get ready to do something crazy, if I'm experiencing something emotional and I had to pause and get off of here right now, I might not be able to deal with it in 5 minutes. It may take me a couple of weeks. It may take, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it might be. But it would be so irresponsible if I got off of here and did an impulsive act with all of these men sitting up here. And they're like, man, Vic, you just got off of here and when it did X, Y, and Z, you wouldn't even talk to us about it or bring it there. You know what I'm saying? So I think age, time, and experience gives us a different perspective on what the problem is. And sometimes, in most cases, generally speaking, every individual is their own resistance. The problem you have with something is the problem that you're choosing to connect your emotions to. You see what I'm saying? So, like, plenty of people say reckless things all the time, and they don't necessarily describe no person's individual behavior. But what's done to you individually should make you really sit back and pause and say, look, I have manifested this person in my life that's a reflection of my vulnerabilities and insecurities. And it takes a strong emotional level of intelligence to take that accountability. Because at some point when somebody's not treating you the way that you think that you deserve, You have to make a distinction between what you want to connect to and what you want to be associated. And you know what I'm saying? And what you want to speak for you. So don't let your control go into somebody else that doesn't want you.
I would say like if you now we're talking real love, right? So for me, dating so much, and after I've been in several relationships, but I said to myself after the first time I got really crushed. We're talking crushed, right? Because I think there's stages. There's hurt, there's devastated, and there's crushed, right? So I think I've been through all three in myself. But I said to myself, after you've been crushed, like you love this girl, it did not work, and you've been crushed, you get those suicidal thoughts, you get like, God damn, right? I said to myself, I ain't never cried for another woman again. And I never did. I really said, I said, the next woman I cry for is my mother. I will never cry for another woman. I put that rock around me that I built myself up so good that I'm able to say, don't let the door hit you on the way out, right? I'm able to say that now because I put myself in such a positive place where I am physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, all that good stuff. So she cannot come in and disrupt that. I will never stop drawing for a woman again, no matter what part of my life she's in, right? My kids are another hand, even though I don't have any, because I don't know what that feeling is like yet.
See, but I think I never had a feeling like that because I think my mother and her situation crushed me so much, and she was like my queen, and then her situation crushed me. So I had a disdain and a disrespect for women so bad to where I really didn't love another woman outside of my sisters until my daughters came along.
See, okay, so you know where you can relate to what I'm saying when I say that, because right. I think a man, when we build ourselves up to that and we know we're doing good in life, I don't think anything could come in and disrupt that. I think you'll have a little shiver, but once you know you're grounded, you're doing your thing, nothing could come in and stop me from drawing, working, making money, building. I will hurt from it, but it won't disrupt my life.
Right.
And that's the maturity that I got to with all what I've been through, the crying, the on the bed, the drinking, the taking anything that comes sex-wise, fat, skinny, you didn't really care. You just wanted to hit it and move on. That's how I think.
So can I ask a question, fellas? When it comes to the actual being broken up with and a woman breaking your heart and really crushing you, as you said, Antoine, crushing you, we put up these barriers, right? These walls. Is that fair to do to the next one? Because to be quite honest with you, she will never experience the love that you gave your first love. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I would love her equally differently.
I'd say like this right here. Those barriers, I think you go through barriers as you mature. You know what I'm saying? Like the same love that you gave to that first person, you can't simulate that with nobody else. And then not only that, you got to take into consideration, like everybody ain't raised the same way. Some people have been raised by single parent households. Some people have been raised in traditional households. Like I had both my parents for 40 some odd years, you know what I'm saying, that they were together. So my perception of what I think a woman should be and a husband should be, a wife and a husband should be, is completely different than a lot of other people. And so there's some things that you won't tolerate because you didn't grow up with it. You see what I'm saying? And then some things you tolerate because you grew up with it. That's why you can see some people that, like, I don't understand how somebody can be in a 10 to 15 year relationship with the same person and not be married to them. But that's their origin story. You see what I'm saying? And whereas, like, I can see how some people who have a level of codependency in an unhealthy codependency with somebody. It's okay to be codependent and interdependent, you know what I'm saying, in healthy situations. But if you have codependency and an unhealthy emotional, you know what I'm saying, standards, you are going to be in and out of relationships that reflect your emotional intelligence. Okay. So I don't think it's about creating barriers that enable you or keep people from getting close to you. I think it's creating different vetting criteria, because if you are fit for a relationship, your outcomes and your interactions with people are going to reflect that. You see what I'm saying? If you are unfit, nobody calls you, you uncooperative or whatever, and you always by yourself and you the last to know, that should let you know the frequency that you have in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have healthy relationships outside of romantic relationships, your other relationships probably ain't that healthy either. They probably transactional.
Yeah. And those walls, Cavi, that you speak of, as long as you're healing behind those walls, you're doing good. That's what the wall is there for, so you can heal behind it.
Yeah, I had to break down all my walls to be with my wife. So at the end of the day,
you have to heal behind it first.
It's right. You're correct. You're correct. You do have to heal behind it, because for years, I would say about 3 or 4 years, I was alone. I did a lot of self-study, so at the end of the day, you're right. You do have to heal behind those walls first. But once you heal behind those walls, what I'm saying is, like, when you move on to the next person, when you move on to another relationship, you fairly have to give them a clean slate. You feel what I'm saying? Like a clean slate. There should be no bullshit on your plate. This woman should have a clean slate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nothing blocking her from getting in there emotionally, because let's just be honest, fellas. This is one thing that, and I know what Vic's gonna say. We don't care about what the women say, but me and Roland, we hit. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like this, bro. The complaint that you hear from a lot of women is that men are not open to anything anymore. Like you said, I think it was is it across the table? What's your name, brother? Chris?
Yeah, Christopher.
Christopher. Okay, Chris. Yeah. So it's like you said, when it comes to a woman showing the first bit of like insanity, this craziness that we all know women have, we are out the door quick. It's not even a discussion.
I said that
Yeah.
I'm going to speak to you about it.
Right.
And if I have to speak to you about it again, then that means you don't care. I shouldn't have to repeat myself to a grown-up. If you are a grown-up, as grown as you claim you are, then I should only have to tell you one time that this hurt me, especially if you say that you want to be with me and you quote unquote love me.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't see a repeat in that behavior. I understand that nobody is perfect. People fall back. But this one thing that you know is hurting me, if you continue to do it, then you're going to be alone, because I'm not dealing with it. And I shouldn't have to, because I already told you this ain't that. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like a one and done thing. It's more along the lines of, I'm not repeating myself to a grown up.
So
I'm not doing it.
If that's the case, then I offer that there is no such thing as a clean slate. I offer that there's a slate that involves learning, and you cannot erase any experience that you've ever had in your life. Therefore, it is your responsibility to learn from those experiences. If you take the time to learn from those experiences, then what ends up happening is that you don't make the same mistakes you made in the past. This is both men and women. So, and I'm just, and Cap, I'm not challenging what you're saying. I'm just offering a different perspective. I want to make sure I say that, right? We have to get to the point to where we understand that there are going to be some people who feel entitled to the current level of awareness that you currently are, but they have not necessarily done the work in themselves to get to that level of awareness, but they feel entitled, right? If you did not learn from your mistakes, you'll get caught up in all of the distractions, the exterior stuff that does not amount to anything that equated up here. Now, if you did the work up here, and that work up here reflects the fact that you are, you have a degree of emotional intelligence, you have a degree of decorum, you actually know how to use a fork and a steak knife when it comes down to eating dinner out in public, then we can vibe, we can kick it. But you know what I'm saying? Don't be holding the fork like this, and you know what I'm saying, and trying to salt a doggone steak while we had it done. I'm not paying for Ruth Chris for that, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
shaking the whole table.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I got what you're saying, but I want to offer another perspective. And that perspective says that everything that you've been through in your life was a testing ground to get you to where you are right now. So when it comes down to this question right here, what were some of the things that helped you during the breakup? I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to do it chronologically. When Jesus was resurrected, when Jesus died and was resurrected, the disciples went back and started fishing. So did this guy. I went back to fishing, bro. I'm not going to lie. When I broke up, I went back out there, went back to fishing, being honest. But I learned that was not the most productive thing to do. And so over the years, now when the breakup happened, and it did, I continued doing the same thing I was doing because I had already started working on a refined product. I started searching myself to see where did I go wrong in this particular situation instead of playing the blame game, right? If we get out of playing the blame game and do the reflection game will reveal where I was in error and how I could have done something different than what actually took place in that particular moment. Now, at that point, I don't have to go back to fish. In fact, I look at it totally different right now. I turn fish down all the time simply because I understand something different than what I knew back then.
Man, look, you changed the value of the experience. And that's my point. Ultimately, you have to take inventory of why you are going through something. You know what I'm saying? And you are your own resistance first and foremost, because that's why you're in a situation. You resisted something. You ignored the red flags, and then now you got to take a different route to learn the same lesson that life is going to teach you, whether you want to participate in it actively or not. You know what I'm saying? This is why I say all of these relationships that go up and down, the emotional cost of it, that's the tuition of just learning how to be a man for real. You see what I'm saying? And the thing is, the experience, if you don't change the polarity of it, the value of it, if you don't integrate the lessons learned from it, you're just doing it for no reason. You're just doing it to be a victim. You know what I'm saying? You're a volunteer for your own victimization at some point. You know what I'm saying? So, because what's the value of somebody abusing you, mishandling you, you accepting it, and then never rising above it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was for nothing. It was for somebody else's entertainment. So you better do it for your benefit, because it's gonna happen to you whether you want to or not. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter because you don't know what other people are influenced by, because you don't know what they've been raised as. You don't know what's the norm. You don't know what they think is control. You don't know what they think is authority and management. You know what I'm saying? So, like, people are not governed by the same principles. The right people are, though.
That's fair. I got
So
you know,
what helped you guys out during the breakup?
so what helped me, when one woman broke my heart, getting another woman. I'm just kidding. What actually fixed? I'm just kidding, y'all. Just just lightening up a little bit. But at the same time, I'm actually telling the truth. It was another woman, but I don't mean another woman in a relationship. It was a woman who became my close friend. She educated me on women. So one thing that helped me out was talking to a woman about what women are and what women want. And I have to admit that there were, even though I had my mom, I still do, my sister, but at that time, when you're going through that tough time, right? It's like I got in my head, started creating narratives about what was going on. And then I would even say my friend, her name is Reverend Jackie Benston, amazing minister too. So, y'all can look her up, she's great. And for about 6 months, no, maybe it was about a year, Jackie and I just hung out. And she basically educated me. I mean, I wasn't there for the education. I was there for the friendship. But, I would get into my feelings and bring some up, and Jackie would break it down, and then it's like she helped me to see the things that sometimes I think, men, we just didn't know. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. I got one. Like, when I wanted to go out, with this person, and they, took like a day or something to get back to me, and then they let me know that they couldn't do it, right? I got agitated, like, see, they ain't real. And then Jackie would help me to understand, well, first, pay attention to the fact that, she got back to you. Maybe she had something to do. Maybe she didn't want to tell you, she had to figure something out. So, Jackie kind of helped to open my mind, to the way that I was, as I think I'm hearing from you Kings too, and especially what you said, Vic, I was in my own way. So I can also admit that. And you remember what I said in both of them, I thought, it's like lucky me for having them. And Jackie helped me to realize, like, one, no, she was like, I mean, it's basically fortunate for both of you, but she also helped me to see some things within myself, how I was selfish in some ways, self-absorbed, got in my way. And then, as Coach was saying, as I continued to take those lessons and process it, right, after I went through, dealing with the frustration of Jackie being right? Then Jackie brought in, now this is what she was doing. You see, and then I was able to see that. And then, to echo what Brother Christopher was saying, after that, bro's like, no, it's not happening no more. But it was because I think I had both. I had the male perspective, I had the female perspective, and then I was able to put it together. And that actually helped me to not be bitter. you know, because I'll admit I was bitter, like Coach said. I was fearful, you know, I was angry. And just like Antoine said, it was like, hey, look, I'm just gonna get up in here, you know, and do my thing, and then we'll just see what. And then after I got through that, you know, I did open as Kathy said, you know, I did open back up. And what I will say, and I love what you said, brother, because I say what I did was I worked on cleaning my slate. You know, like I worked on, you know, I worked on the, you know, when I was self-absorbed. Well, why am I like that? Man, I had issues that trace back to my childhood. You know, why did I get so hurt? Issues that trace back to my childhood. So I just say, and I'm not trying to get too deep on it, but I can say that a lot of my wounds that I experienced in a weird way, some of it really went back, you know, to my youth, but I didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't see it. So that's one thing, having a woman who can help you and guide you, who's a friend, who's a trusted friend. So that's one thing that helped me.
I'm going to push back on that, because I think if like what helped me, and I think what will help every man in a breakup, because I didn't want no woman. I went back and I went into myself. I wanted to be the best version of myself, because I said to myself, and I said, I will never be in this position again, right? And I said, if I want a woman, I'll get a woman. But I also said to myself, the best revenge is served best by success. I said to myself, I am going to make myself into something that she will never attain in her own life, right? And I didn't want no woman. I treated women like a fat man treats a cake. I dieted down till I was chiseled, right? I wanted to be lean. I wanted to be that machine. That's how a woman was a cake to me, right? So I just focused on me. I got better at training. I got better on my diet. I got better looking, still handsome right now. But, you know, I really honed in on my craft. I jumped into my art, found out everything about Photoshop, Illustrator. I really became the best version of myself. And to this day, I can tell you, a woman will never come first in my professional life. She'll come first in my personal life. I'm able to separate the two. When I'm in my studio and that light is red, I'm able to not even care. She knows she's gonna know not to knock on that door, right? Because I separate the two. Because love ain't paying my bills today. It never will, right? And any man that says, "Oh, I need a woman to build me up and all this shit," no, I did it without you, and I'll be here when you're gone, right? But in my personal life, in the life after work, in the life that where she fits in her role, that's where she comes first. Because now I'm able to provide. You want to work, you could work. You want to stay home, you can stay home. So I think every man they're going through the worst time of their lives, need to reflect, need to take ownership of what they did wrong. Take responsibility. You know you did wrong. It wasn't all her. No matter, even if she cheated, there's a reason why she cheated. There's got to be. There's always a bottom line, right? Besides being a 304, I'm talking about. So I really, really honed in on what I did wrong, fixed it. I healed so damn good that I could see the difference between someone I'm fucking and somebody I want to marry. I could see the difference between a girlfriend and a wife just by talking to that woman. You could see quality over quantity. So
well, I don't necessarily feel that as a pushback though, Antoine, which is kind of common what you do when you do this. I feel like you're really echoing what we're saying, because what you just said was, you know, like what we said, like I had to accept something.
No,
you know, well, that's true. He does.
Another girl to tell you. I just think a man.
Well, no. That's no. I'm finished my point, because that's not what I said.
You just saying
what I said was exactly. I said someone helped me understand something. I mean, if you're ignorant,
he had somebody show him the game.
Ignorant, you know. But you know, to have a woman who can also give you perspective is good. I didn't say she made me better. I didn't say she fixed my world. In fact, I didn't say I was with her for that purpose. She was my friend. So if a woman who's my friend can give me wisdom, I'd be a dummy not to listen to her. And I do mean that you'd be a dumbass not to listen to her. I think that I think a woman knows a woman, just like we're here on this thing with men. We know men. So while we're here talking about what happened with the woman, and that's why it should stay here, because we're talking about it as men. But I don't think anything's wrong with a woman giving you tips to, you know, on how to engage with women. You know,
hey,
as
Doc,
a matter of fact, I also don't think
that's how I got through it. That's how I got through it, Doc. So you're correct.
And I don't think men can tell you everything about how to be with women, because I'm not a woman.
No.
So, you know, I think that it's good to learn and to listen and to apply it, you know, and I didn't say that she made me better. I said she gave me some things to think about and to help me, you know,
Yeah,
So I
she
mean, I
showed you
still
the
had to
game.
go back
No,
and
but I
work
was
on my
saying
own
before,
stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
but doctor, I was saying before all that, before
Mhm.
I wanted to know about another woman, I really dived into me. I didn't want no woman to come into my life and tell me nothing. I wanted to learn how to be by myself and love myself enough to say I don't need a woman. I don't need her advice on it. When I'm ready to date again, and I need little tips, I got the woman go to. But in the beginning, I think every man needs to square himself off in a room and just build. And no influence from anybody else. Do the books, get the positive things, thinking. Build yourself up that you don't need a woman, but when you're ready to want one, have one, and you're coming in here. So I know even to
I
this
agree
day,
with that.
woman coming into my life,
No,
she's coming into
I
a
agree with that because I seem like you find women when you're not looking for them. I think the
but I
good
got
woman
no
comes when you're not looking.
I'm just
You
saying
know?
every man needs to go into a relationship having no past trauma. Like even if a woman breathes in my direction about an ex, I'm not even talking to her. I don't want to know nothing about your ex. You coming in like I'm the best thing since sliced bread. We both doing that. Fresh, clean. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
Not to mention when you dive
I'm
into yourself like
I
that, you
can't
kind
afford
of
it.
figure out what you will and what you won't tolerate.
Right. And I don't have
So
1, 2,
yeah,
3,
it's good to do that because, like I said, you learn yourself, you learn your triggers, you learn what gets you going. You also learn what brings you closer to a woman and
Right.
how you can build that way. So
I know how to love
it
now.
actually makes sense. But and I'm gonna keep it real. In today's day and age, you have to build yourself up because a woman won't even look your way if you're not all the way built. So that
I get
also
more
comes with
women with my
the
Mercedes than a
territory.
Honda. I'm just saying. It's just the way it is.
Back to the question, I will say that I had. Oh, and to Antoine, he said 304. So I don't know if Eric DeBarge. That's back in the day when we had pages.
Eric DeBarge.
When we had pages, they put
Eric
the 304
DeBarge.
No,
Eric, who's that?
I'm a comedian, brother. I just got to play. But I had my father figure in Texas. He was the one. He talked to me and he helped me realize that it has absolutely nothing to do about the other person. Like Antoine and Doc was saying, and everybody else, it's about building yourself up. And when you build yourself up, then self-esteem comes and everything else comes with it. And what he told me was, no matter what's going on in your house, if something, this is just me, I'm not pushing on anybody else. If something goes wrong in your house, in your relationship, it's your fault. That's what he told me. And he said, whether it's you're neglecting something or you are overly anticipating some things or you looking too much into yourself, when something goes wrong in your house, don't look at somebody else. Look at yourself and see how you could fix you, not how you can fix somebody else. Because what happens is we start trying to fix other people. Well, why she ain't do this or why she ain't do that? Doesn't matter. Fix you, and then you will see what you will accept and what you won't accept. And then if what you're not willing to accept is not in her purview, then you just move on. And when you can move on and be happy with yourself, then whatever anybody else brings is added, not added baggage.
Hey, so I definitely agree with that. I want to so coming from a younger perspective, I definitely say that I wish you guys were around, a lot longer, or when I was a lot younger. I know a lot of people that could benefit from these experiences and lessons. I haven't necessarily had any crazy like breakups, right? But I will say that one of the things that I did have to learn and start working on was there was always I kept hearing, the woman is the one that's valuable, like, happy wife, happy life, and that's all the stuff. So for me, it was always like, oh well, what do I got to do to deserve her? But then, kind of after dealing with different situations, I took some time to really sit down and look at what I've accomplished and what I can bring to the table, and I started to see the value in myself. And through finding that value in myself, it kind of changed who I was willing to deal with, because they had to be on a certain frequency to even be able to get around me, which really helped.
Man, that's taking control of your environment early on. And you'd be shocked that there's so many men that until after they've been, you know, like through certain traumatic experiences, they be in their 40s before they figure out what you just said. And like, and that's just a fact, is that you're gonna either get all of the credit or all the blame, so you might as well take control. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So like, when you start going through these cycles about who's responsible, and you start thinking about what you need to focus on, like earlier somebody said, Vic don't really care. Cabby said Vic don't care what people, what women think. I don't, because the reality is that men need to focus on themselves first. Because if you focus on the woman, you ain't gonna have nothing. You're gonna look like Jaheim. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been proven. You know, if you put that woman first, you're gonna be out of here first. Okay. So like, like we gotta be willing to sacrifice for healthy outcomes, dog. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is like, I'm using that comedy, you know, to make a larger point, is that if you focus on anybody else other than yourself, you're probably not going to benefit from it. You probably are dealing with a negative person. You know, like I wrote earlier today, if you're always asking, by action and behavior, you are a negative person. Until you get yourself in a position of service where you could do things for other people, you will never be able to determine your value if it's not reciprocated in a healthy way. You know what I'm saying? Is if you're constantly giving yourself to somebody in a positive way, and all you get in return is negative criticism, somebody poking holes in whatever it is that you're doing, that's probably not the person you need to give your energy to. You know what I'm saying? And look, Troy just, hey, Uncle Troy in the comments say them R&B singers mess the game up. Yeah, you run around here trying to live out as yet lyrics, trying to live out Jodeci lyrics, trying to live out lyrics from R&B in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? For folks that don't even qualify for a promotion on their own jobs. You know what I'm saying? So like, people are very uncomfortable with the idea that they have to earn something. You know what I'm saying? Against like, they look at the aesthetics and don't know what comes with the aesthetics, and they think that the previous experiences that they've had have qualified them for you. But we don't all deal with offense the same way. We don't all deal with disrespect the same way. We don't all we're not all as receptive and coachable on things that matter like other people. We are diverse. You know what I'm saying? If we moody, we can be moody too, but we don't get credit for being moody. We don't get the opportunity to be moody. Like, I don't want to deal with that right now. And then when we don't want to do with that, they say we bad on communication. But reality is, we need the time to process, you know what I'm saying, being receptive and being coachable, because men that are fixers want to solve the problem. Nothing is more frustrating than committing your energy and resource to solving a problem to somebody that don't want a problem solved. So time and experience give you time to vet what you're willing to give your resources to. And then ultimately, when you come down to the point of taking care of yourself, it's like this. How can you have the least amount of resources and think you can make any of the decisions? Is beyond me.
Yeah.
I'll just ask if I could, you know, I mean, but okay. Well, I'll say, so one major lesson that I did get after the first two breakups, I think Vic was going there and also Antoine as well. I'm more concerned with how I feel about my woman than how she feels about me.
Yep.
You know, when I went through those breakups, you know, I was very much like, oh God, oh God. You know, I'm inside. That's my face, but inside I was like, dang, what? Now it's like, mm-mm. Because what I've learned is that if I come into the situation a certain way, and there's something about being a powerful man, you do have, when you have control over yourself in a very positive way, you can actually control other people sometimes, even when you don't want, when you don't tend to. And so I've learned that a powerful man, you know, is one, a powerful man is an anchor for most people around him, especially if he's taking care of his family. So one thing, and that's why I love what Roland said, because what I've learned is that, you know, when they say happy wife, happy life, I'm like, no, when the king is in disarray, everything is in disarray. And so that's what I had to finally figure out. I was like, wait a minute, you know, no, I'm actually not saying I'm most important, but I'm really an important piece up in this thing. And so if I'm coming in here jacked up, messed up, over emotional, right? You know, I can't have too much my over emotion with someone else's over emotion. I can't have my lack of confidence with someone else's lack. So once I figured that out, and that's about 5 years ago, I've been on a different trajectory. It's been, you know, when I'm love, got a partner, everything is great. But that's where my head goes. I'm like, no, I'm more focused on how I feel about her, because if she loves me, but I'm not with her, it doesn't matter, like it's just like, psh. So I but that don't mean I don't think about her. That's not what I'm saying. But I really am more like, wow, like what do I bring in now? And I notice, like just like Chris said, I work now daily to make sure that there's no weight on my chest. And if there's no weight on my chest, and I forgot which brother said it, which one of the leaders, I don't know if it was Brother Eric or if it was Brother Roland, then I'm not bringing baggage, or it's maybe Coach, I'm not bringing baggage in. So it's almost like with me not having that baggage, I'm free. And so I can be me. And then, like you said, if something go wrong, like Chris said, if I hear more than once, it's easier to walk away now because the confidence that I have for myself, and the strength, and as Brother Wallace said, and also Antoine, like I worked behind the wall, I tore it down. I don't have to be scared now. You know what I mean? So that's just one of the things that came from me, over time, is that focus switch.
Yeah, I like all of those, man. Everybody has some great points. I know we kind of touched around, and some people may have hit it, but I want to, really dial into some specifics about what we really learned from the breakup. I know we talked about some of the things that we did. We talked, I went more into, I got women. I dove into my artwork more and different things like that. But what, like, if you just summed up, like, what did you learn? I know some people talked about, I learned to focus. I focused on me. But what specifically is something that you learned from the breakup?
For me, I'm gonna say this one. I got this one. I learned how to love. I really learned how to love a woman. I really did. Like I learned that avenue, like what it takes, the dedication. I really learned, me as a man, how to love a woman. Honestly. And be that provider, be the man I need to be. That way I know when crazy's coming into my life, it ain't gonna stay long. Like I really know me as a person. I ain't into this developing, still growing and all that bullshit. I'm already grown. I'm just getting better. But I really, out of all the things I could say, man, I really learned how to love.
I wish I could mute it.
Like
boundaries. I learned boundaries. I learned what boundaries are important to me. You know what I'm saying? Versus like a lot of people that's talking about, they stories of rejection is because your boundaries were different. That's why it's hard to go back and remember what you were thinking at 2021. You shouldn't be as hurt as you were when, like if you had varying experiences, you've been around, you've got some experience underneath your belt, the weight and emotional cost of relationships are only relative to what that person is offering at that time. It should be, you should have measured ways to how you're going to commit to getting to know the other person. You know what I'm saying? And once you get to know what they are, the only way you vet that is off previous experience. So there's no way you could dismiss anything that you've already cataloged as par for the course, right? What's important is that you don't go forward hurting your own opportunities with your own experiences. You know what I'm saying? And if you get something that reflects the work you put in on yourself, then you protect your access to it. Meaning, like, if you got a skill, like I always say, hey, you go back to the beginning of how we started saying, fam, you got to be good at something. If you're not good at anything and then you experience an emotional letdown, like a significant breakup, you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to do things that make you hate yourself because you don't have nothing else to justify your existence. You have to be good at something in order for you to overcome the things that may trip you up. Like if you play any type of sports in an organized situation, you ain't gonna win every game, right? You ain't gonna make every play. But if you dwelling on the last play, you're gonna hurt the team. You know what I'm saying? So like, you hurt your own self when you dwell on the last play. If you didn't succeed, even if you won, sometimes you could be trapped in the moment in multiple ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to decide your lowest point. You have to decide how to get out. And if you're not good at anything, you're not going to be able to figure out how to get out.
I learned that when a woman says she done, she is done.
When a woman fed up.
See, there go that R&B
tried
nonsense
to,
that we was talking about. See,
bro, hey, I tried to make it work, bro. Like I just
Hey,
over
bro,
and over and over. Like
they break
I-
up in cryptic ways, man. I had somebody say want to bring up monogamy between penguins. I'm like, why the fuck we talking about penguins? you know,
yeah, but that was what I learned. Like when she say I'm done, like believe her. Like that's what I learned. So that was the most important lesson that I learned.
I learned so much about women, period. And that's what I had to do before I went on to my next stop. You know, when it comes to women and what you have to know about women, for one thing, men tend to have that us men, we tend to think that women think a little bit like us or a lot like us. Not true. They are a totally different species. I was told by my sister, she said that women want everything and nothing at the same time. Break that down, fellas. You know, women want everything and nothing at the same time. So what
they
I
have no
took from
code.
that so what I took from that is I took from that emotionally, women are consistently inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? So when they want to be loved on and they say that they want to be loved on, you got to do that. When they say that they want attention and they want time, stop what you're doing. You got to do that. Um, Back when I went through my breakup. Before that breakup, I noticed that I was playing a whole lot of Call of Duty and Madden. And as you guys know, a game of Madden might be an hour. A game of Call of Duty, if it's addictive, so you can end up playing that for 2, 3,
That's an
4 hours.
all-day
So
thing.
right. So that's 2 or 3 or 4 hours that you are away from your woman. And your woman's like, where the hell is he at? He ain't rubbing my legs. He ain't rubbing my shoulders. He ain't stroking my hair. He's not doing any of this stuff. He's not
Yeah,
paying
I'm
me
trying
any
not to get
attention.
killed out here.
Right. I'm in the battlefield, Joe. I'm trying to get a
Right.
nuke. You know what I'm saying? That's just what you're trying to do. So when it comes to a woman, I think my fault, and I had to find this out about myself. This is the healing process, Uncle Junior, is I had to find out, yeah, it wasn't all about me. It was about that other person that I said that I wanted a relationship with. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that time needed to go to her, because yes, 4 hours on Call of Duty. Come on, man. That was reckless. That was reckless on my part. And hell, she could walk out the back door. I wouldn't even notice. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so engulfed in this video game, or I was engulfed in watching football or something like that. So the thing is that I really had to learn about what I did wrong as a man. And I did not carry that on to the next relationship or to my marriage now. Now I don't even play video games. I learned my lesson. So that's my thing. I had to learn about women and what women are and who they are. I had to let them talk, because us men, we do too much damn talking sometimes. That's just my honest opinion. So sometimes we need to, God gave you ears too. He gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen more than you talk. So the thing is, let that woman talk and let those women talk in your family and tell you, hey, this is what we want. This is possibly what you did wrong, brother.
But for me, I got to jump in here. I know Eric, I see you coming on too, but you got to jump in. I think what I've learned is everything everybody else said, you can break it down in 3 words for me. My shit stink. That's what I learned. So I can't keep saying, well, she didn't. This was me. Because what I'm doing is like I'm with you. All I do is play Madden. All I do is sit up there and do this. I would sit up there. I was supposed to be at work up there with Coach. I'm at the barbershop playing Madden for money. I'll tell you.
I used to take leave when Call of Duty came
Madden
out.
paid the bills. But and when I started looking at like, dude, yeah, you pay the bills, yeah, you provide and you protect, but you aren't satisfying her other needs. You aren't, and if I don't do it, somebody else gonna do it. And I found myself where I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't attentive enough. But when I found myself looking inwardly, helping myself grow, then I have something truly to offer other than a piece of pipe and a paycheck. All right, Eric, I got to throw you in there.
Hey, I appreciate you. So a couple things. One, I think 2 big things for me were learning about effective communication and tonality. I think those
Absolutely.
were huge because I realized that I couldn't communicate because I was never taught to really communicate growing up. It was always seen as a soft thing, right? And then the military and all this stuff is how I deal with it. But the problem was when I was dealing with something, I didn't even know how to put it into words to tell someone. So it would just cause bigger. I don't know how to say it. Now I'm getting angrier because I don't even know what to tell you. I want you to. So learning how to really understand what I was going through and how to put it into words and how to be comfortable with, even with like, hey, I don't want to speak about this right now. Can we do this later? Or being able to do that. And then like how I'm saying it, because I can say something to you in different tones and it can sound like completely different things. And even though to me it's like, what are you tripping about? I understand that, if it sounds mean, it probably sounds mean, right? And but these also had other, I guess, unintended help as well for me, right? I was learning to communicate effectively with a woman, but in turn it helped me learn how to communicate better with my little brothers. Now we have better relationships. Me and my friends have better, conversations, and I'm able to talk about things. And if I'm going through something, I actually feel comfortable going to a homeboy and saying, hey, look, this is what I'm experiencing, knowing that they're not going to be like, oh, bro, what you talking about? You saw, so it really helps a lot. And even how I respond to things, or, I might be short and crass. Now I'm like, okay, I understand what's going on. Even though to me, in my experiences in life, this may not be an issue. I'm not going to treat you as that. It may not be an issue for you because, pain is subjective. That's all I got.
You know what I learned? I learned to be honest. To be honest and be righteous. Understand that me being honest and me doing what I'm supposed to do as a man is what's best for everybody. And if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man, the woman that I'm with is going to roll with me because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man. Being honest and being righteous. And to have standards and not to be a dick about it. Just say, hey, this is what I want. Can you provide it for me? What do you want? Do you think I'm the man that can give it to you? Let's go. If not, let's go our separate ways. We don't need the hoopla. I don't need the Facebook drama. I don't need the social media drama. I don't want to be the subject of one of your crazy posts. Let's just deal with it now. So that way we're not wasting each other's time. We too old for this. Let's hammer out a deal. Let's figure this out. Because I'm attracted to you. I like you. You obviously are attracted to me and like me because you wouldn't be here if you weren't, or at least intrigued on whether or not I could be the dude that you like. So let's figure this out. Let's just be honest about it. If all you want is something physical, okay, but don't expect no romance behind it. If I want something physical, I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm not trying to do this right now, but we can do this. But I'm not dropping anything that I'm doing for you because you're not my woman. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest about it and let's be real. Let's quit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I learned. And I've learned that with that honesty and with that righteousness, you gain more respect because at least you were upfront and she can't say that you lied to her.
So, thank you, brother Chris, for bringing honesty to the conversation. I'm telling you, listen,
Dude, you need to get on a radio show, bro. You got like that soft voice for like slow, radio for real.
Smooth jams with Coach Squire.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Hey man, I feel attacked right now. I don't know how to take that. But no, thank you for the compliment, bro. But no, Chris, thank you for bringing honesty to the conversation because I just told you guys previously, us dark skinned brothers had to learn different lessons, right? And I'm being completely transparent. There's a few things I had to learn. And let me get to the honesty because I think that's one of the most important things. Number one, family dynamics matter. So if I don't know what her family looked back, then what her family looks like, then I did not do enough research before I call myself getting into the situationship, right? The breakup did not define who I am. That's number two. And I think it's important to understand that interlaced within the fibers of every breakup is a lesson for me. I think that's one of the most important things to understand. Now let's touch on the honesty thing. Because I'm listening to you brothers who like to play Madden and play Call of Duty And I feel you. I got what you coming from. Me and brother Roland that sat in the day room got caught by the first round playing Madden because we supposed to be out there checking with soldiers. You know what I'm saying? We got busted on SARS time. Come on, man. We knew better.
Bro, you ain't the only one.
I know, man. Hey, I'm just putting my transgressions out there. But here's the thing I want to kind of share. You not spending 13 hours a day playing Madden wasn't for her. Sorry. It wasn't for her. It should have been for you. You spending 13 hours a day, period, playing Madden wasn't good. So when we say it was for her, we're misappropriating the meaning for the change that we made in our life. Here's the deal. My responsibility is to improve this guy. This is one of the biggest lessons I had to learn. She's not, it's not my responsibility to change her. If she decided to get in a relationship with me, then she needs to, what was the guy, Stevie J, that was his name? She need to get on the bus. I'm just being honest. She need to get on the bus because hopefully we had this conversation earlier. We got to the point to where we have a good understanding. We know she know what my vision is, where we're going. She said, yes, I want to be a part of that. Put me in the game, coach. And here we go. So don't get in the boat and start pedaling the wrong direction. That's a lot of the things I say. So what we got to understand, men, if we're completely honest, the first person we need to be honest with is ourselves. We got to be 100% transparent with ourselves. I didn't make the changes in me for anybody but me so that I can be healthy for everybody that I surround myself around, that I surround myself with, to include her. So I think that's the thing that we have to understand, because if we look at it from the wrong perspective, then what's going to end up happening is that we're out of balance. Well, what I mean when I say we're out of balance, she's the man and now I'm the woman. Because now I'm looking at it from the perspective that she is influencing me to change because I don't want to upset her. So manipulation is one of the biggest things I learned in breakups. Like you guys Vic just brought up the R&B thing, right? R&B taught a whole lot of lessons when we was growing up. I can't stand Keith Sweat. I'm be honest with you, I never did like Keith Sweat. Keith made it hard for all us, bruh. And y'all know this. That's why y'all laughing.
He was begging and whining.
Good too, coach. You know what I mean? He made it good too.
Well, yeah, okay. So back then he made it good because I didn't care the message that was going through your head. I'm fishing, right? So yeah, that's what's up. But the long-term effect of these messages, and now he's on stage with a cup with a glass of Henny, can't even finish a note. You know what I'm saying? Y'all seen the video? Stop playing. So this is the point.
Sounding like a goat crying.
Yeah. There are long-term effect for bad messaging, inappropriate messages. There are micro nuggets of confusion that has existed for years. And because of those micro nuggets of confusion, poof, this is where we are. And so I'm going in depth, thanks to Chris, because he said the magic word. He said honesty. And I think that's the thing that we men need to understand. Never let another person's potential of emotional outrage deter you from expressing your authentic self. There's a big difference between expression and projection. Two different things. And we have to be totally honest with ourselves so that we can be honest with anybody else. If we're not honest with them, then only thing they're going to do is continue to manipulate us, and we're going to call it good. But deep in our heart of hearts, we know it's not good. We're just making it look good because we're living in a fictitious world that we call a facade. So honesty was one of the most important things that I had to grasp. So when I told my ex-wife, I said, hey, you got to go. She looked at me like I was crazy. I said, no, seriously, you got to go. I need you to tell me by the end of the month what is your escape plan? You got to go. And sure enough, moving van showed up 3 weeks later. She was out. Listen, I'm just being transparent. What we talked about in the beginning, it was not what actually happened in the moment. Now, I from my understanding, I uphold my end of the bargain. And I asked her, I said, what am I doing different than I talked to you about? She said, nothing. I said, okay. So that being said, here are the things that I'm seeing. And I told her just honestly, straight up. So we have to be, again, We have to learn to express ourselves honestly without fear of emotional repercussion. Once you can do that, then you can get to the point to where you have a healthy exchange of information going back and forth between man and woman, and it looks like a symphonic orchestra and a dance, because that's how it works.
Ooh,
I was
great play
gonna
on
say
words.
something. I was gonna say something about the repercussions. Being honest sometimes means you're going to take a L. It is what it is.
Yep.
But I would rather be honest and take a L than lie to somebody that I claim that I love and hold on to them under false pretenses. We as men cannot be afraid to take the L for being righteous and being honest. I learned that from Patrice O'Neal.
What you got, Roland?
Oh, I was just, he keeps saying Patricia O'Neal. I thought he meant Alexander O'Neal. No, we talking about R&B and
Get
stuff.
out of
Hey,
here. Even though
I'm thinking,
he's one of the artists that I used to step to. I love
No, I'm
stepping to
just
him,
picking.
but
I'm
nah.
just picking.
I'm thinking Patrice Russian. My bad.
No, but and man, this is. I think I gained a level of respect and everything from each and every one of you guys tonight, because you came from your perspective on the same subject, and it hit the nail the same way to me, because it helped me see from your perspective, because mine is totally different, and how, yeah, I have to build my relationship, but if I don't build myself, yes, I got to be responsible, but I got to hold them responsible. Yes, we have to be on code, as Vic always say, because we're men. We have to set that standard and be that standard. And like I think John came in and Coach just came with the benediction. So I'm just appreciative of the lesson tonight, because when I first looked at the title, I was like, ugh, that's gonna be a knockdown drag out right there. But I think I'm appreciative of me just being here.
Man, I definitely appreciate that, man. And I know we're about to close out, but if you are just tuning in, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and join the chat for a conversation for the next few minutes. But we're going to close out with we're not going to necessarily do final thoughts, but we are going to do final thoughts. And what we're going to do is, like I said, this is a little nugget, a little something for the two bag. So we're just going to go around the horn in alphabetical order. I put it in the chat for the private chat for those on the panel. And we just going to see, hey, at the end of the day, because sometimes we don't always see the signs that that our woman may not want to be with us. So I just want to go around the table and to get with everybody to see if they can remember, or if they can remember some of the things that they saw, or maybe some of the red flags that they may have known that, hey, the end is about to come. You didn't know it necessarily while you was in it, but when you got out and you start building, you start working on yourself, you start getting more understanding, start taking accountability for things. When you go back and look at it, what were some of the signs that you may have saw that she may not have been into you, or even if that may not have been your experience, maybe some signs that it may have been over. I'd rather go with the she's not into you, but if you don't have that experience, please share the other one. And Eric is our guest, so he's going to go first.
I say probably a big one that gets overlooked is when she stops doing the cute stuff, I guess, if you will, like putting their cold feet under you when they cold, and responding certain ways when you touching her, right? And you used to be touch her hair, now she, I don't want you touching my hair tonight, and it's like, well, that's never been an issue, right? It's the little things that you kind of overlook is everyday things that you kind of built within your relationship, but she stops being receptive to them. That's all I got.
Cavi, you next.
All right. So pretty much, when it comes to that right there, I'd have to say The joking around stops. Like Eric said, the whole little putting your feet under you because the feet are cold or whatever, and cuddling up next to you, laying a head on you, or putting legs on you, wanting you to rub them, or also the frequency of having sex. I mean, we just got to be upfront with that. All those things are things that you will notice when things are going downhill pretty much, and of course, talking gets short. You don't have those long conversations that you once had about nothing. So yeah, all those things happen when a woman is fed up pretty much. I mean, they're, like I said before, they're emotional creatures, and very emotional creatures. I mean, if they're not feeling you mentally, you're pretty much done, man. I mean, that's just what it is. That's all I got.
What you got, Antoine, since Vic hopped out?
For me, I would say the obvious one. She just stops communicating the way she used to communicate. Period. And if you're not living with her, the texts aren't coming in the same. If you're going out on a Saturday night without her, she's not asking why you going out without me. Like, she's letting you do more than what you normally do. All the communication. Now I listen very carefully. I learn her habits. She learns my habits. But the minute the habits change, it's such an obvious thing now. It's like I can't be fooled. That's another thing, man. I got so jaded. It's like I know shit and I don't let nothing slide. But the obvious thing that women do when they're not into you anymore, they stop communicating the same way they've always done it that you're used to. She'll do it once, you're like, eh. She'll do it twice, you're like, but if it's a repetitive thing, you know. And when I always say, when that first thoughts come into your head, it's the same thing. Just because you ain't there to see the fire doesn't mean it's not happening. It's men, it's the communication. She's not communicating with you the way she did when she was in love with you. Period.
I guess everybody hit it on the head. We call that a pullback. It's when she starts withholding what she used to do when y'all first started or when the relationship was good. And when she starts to try you. And what I mean by try you is when she starts to do all of the things that you said you don't like on purpose. You understand what I'm saying? Like, she knows what she's doing, but she's gonna do it anyway just to try you. I've been that guy. And when I said stop, or when I stopped communicating with her, I all of a sudden became the bad guy because I wasn't going to tolerate that type of abuse. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess that would be the main thing that I would look for. Like, when she intentionally tries to push you just to intentionally try to push you with no rhyme or any reason behind it.
Yep.
100, brother.
Yep. The communication is different. Agreed. 100%.
I think I'm
not just the communication, just the actions in general. Just her whole everything changes for no reason. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I mean by the whole pullback thing. It's a culmination of how she talks, how she acts, how she is. It's not the same. And she's doing it on purpose. Most of the time they try to test you and see just how much you'll tolerate. Or she found somebody else and she needs an excuse to make you look like the asshole for leaving.
We got mute. I think for me, when her friends' words have more weight than mine, when she listens to what they say, and it's always, I got to do this, and my girl this, I got to go to her rescue. And it's like, okay, you might as well be in a relationship with the other person, because I'm over here telling you that we aren't right, but yet you're spending all your time and efforts over there. So when, people spend their time and effort where their heart is. And if her heart is somewhere else, it ain't with you.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm gonna spin off of what you said, and I'm gonna add to it. Not just her friends, but her daddy too. When her daddy words carry more weight than my word, then we got an issue. So, in essence, the thing I want to leave you with is because, like I said before, we start off and we have an understanding, and she gets on the bus. So, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when she forgets, or it's not really forgot, she just chose not to, but when she forgets that she's a part of the team and she wants to be Michael Jordan and take every game winning shot, that's when she's checked out.
Okay, here we go. I see Vic, you next. Coach, you sound like you were following up on stopping the team from scoring. And I'm like, if you start getting in my way to stop me from scoring, I know you don't really want to be on this team no more. I think you came in with the wrong expectation management, and I could tell when you start going against the grain. A lot of things that I think about when it's done is when they stop respecting the things that you value and appreciate. If you play video games like some of you gentlemen, you know what I'm saying, gave you a story, and when that becomes an inconvenience to the person that you're with, especially when they came into the relationship with you doing the same thing that you're being criticized about, that's just a gaslighting tactic to make you feel like you're doing something wrong. And the reality is that they came in with a different expectation, and they confuse control, management, authority, and as all being the same thing. And what they don't realize is something that you value is going to take up another chunk of your time because you value it. So you commit to it. And when a person doesn't feel like that they've been invested in, they find ways to separate themselves from it. We do it all the time at jobs. How many times have you changed jobs because people didn't value the work that you put in, right? So if you take that same trait, that behavior, not the actual, there's transitive values in the things that we put our time and energy into, because nothing says you love something like committing to making something better, fixing problems, mitigating situations that result in miscommunication. Because men are fixers. We cannot have what we want in life without the ability to deconflict other people's situations. So when people start coming in and adding confusion to your peace, your quality of life, the way you wake up, the way you move, the way you access the things that you're talented at, that's a big sign that they've checked out and have fully checked into what they benefit from, because they already had an emotional exit strategy. They just don't know how to translate and communicate what they want to say anyway. And then we get left with the burden of not communicating. Well, if I've been doing everything as consistently as I've done from day one, and the things that I've been doing consistently are now annoying to you, then you're being dishonest with yourself about what you think that you in the middle of. You know, your behavior at that point becomes manipulative. And that's why I say the first language of communication that everybody understands is manipulation. Even babies, when they can't say anything, they do like this when they want something to eat. They cry when they want to get picked up. And as you get a little bit older, you start adding behaviors and activities that you get from other people that you socialize with, and you start incorporating that. That's why, like, you can mimic other people's voices. Birds do the same thing. We've seen it, right? And eventually, your communication is either rooted in nothing but manipulation, or is rooted in something that you've learned from being manipulated, so you can recognize it. So the minute that your consistency is used against you in a manipulative way, it's because somebody else came in with a different expectation management and a different outcome. And then when they can't benefit from it and on their timeline and their frequency, then that's when you can start understanding how deep the manipulation is once you understand what it's connected to. If they don't respect the things that you value, that's a sign that they've checked out.
You got Dr. Easley.
Just rewind. Everything's been said. You can just rewind. Okay. I thank you, Kings, for teaching me tonight. It's been great. But I would just say this: when you're no longer a priority, That's your sign right there. When you are no longer a priority, when the things that matter to you are no longer priority. And actually, all the brothers have said it. So thank y'all, Kings. That's all I got. I appreciate it.
Hey, mine is simple, and I've said it earlier. When she tell you she don't want you no more, believe her. All right. Don't keep trying to make it work. That's just my personal opinion. Unless
When a
you have
woman
something,
fed
unless you
up.
have something invested. But when she tell you she don't want you, I just say believe her. Before you go, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and share it with someone you think could benefit from it. Hey, this panel up here is full of YouTubers. We got artists, we got authors, we got doctors, we got financial advisors and people that can help you with your money. We got people who can help you with your real estate. We got coaches, like we got speakers, we got all types of people up here on this panel. So just stay tuned in the and check the links at the bottom and stuff like that, and all of our information will be up there. So if you ever want to get in contact with us on the side, or book a session, or work with somebody like that, or be on someone's podcast, like just look below the links. I mean, you'll be able to find all of our information. Again, thank you all to the Wolfpack members who joined on today's episode of Elevator Dialogue. Big shout out to the most elevated chat on YouTube, and last but not least, everyone who turned in to hear what we had to say about this topic. See you all next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for another great episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. We are out.